In this part, you will hear a discussion between two English teachers. For questions 21 to 28, complete the notes in the table. You do not need to write in full sentences. Questions 29 to 30 must be answered with a cross in a box. If you change your mind about an answer, put a line through the box and then mark your new answer with a cross. 1 mark will be awarded for each correct answer.
Well, that was a really interesting talk, wasn't it?
Definitely. I'd wanted to learn more about common difficulties for English language learners, so I was pleased to see this talk advertised. And now I've got so many ideas for my lessons.
Me too. It's really helped me to think about my classes in a different way. And the speaker seemed very experienced. For example, when she talked about students in Asia generally being very polite, it's true. Where I teach now in Japan, the students are so well behaved. The same goes for the ones I had in Indonesia too.
You're so lucky. Getting to discover such different cultures and having polite students. I wouldn't say they're rude, but some of my current students in Spain can be quite cheeky.
Really? Well, I suppose it doesn't always depend on the country. I do get some naughty students from time to time too. But you must have had some nice students when you were in Germany.
Oh, they were a mixed bunch. Actually, I was expecting them all to be good as gold and super keen because of a friend's experiences in Berlin and Frankfurt. But you can never generalise, can you? I have to say, I did have a couple of very difficult classes.
But you enjoy teaching most of the time, don't you?
Yes, of course. Moving away from Wales, where I'm from, was a big commitment, but well worth it.
I know what you mean. It isn't easy to move, but the big attraction for me was the possibility of travelling, seeing the world and meeting people from different countries. Oh, there's nothing like it.
You're right about that. For me, I really want to study education, and seeing other countries' systems is a great experience. I think it'll be really interesting to study this at university.
Oh, really? My brother is doing that now. He really likes it. Teaching may be a challenge, but it's never boring, is it?
You can say that again. Sometimes I feel like I have so much work to do, but it's never dull. Helping students work through their different difficulties with English is really fascinating. You have to be quite adaptable. But when you help them find a solution, it's just brilliant.
It is amazing, isn't it? So what kind of difficulties do your students in Spain usually have?
Pronunciation is often a tricky thing for them to master. They find vowel sounds in English particularly difficult because their vowel system in Spanish is very different. They find it hard to make a difference between words such as fit and feet, for example.
Oh, I see. Yes, pronunciation is one of those things that doesn't always come naturally when you're learning a new language. My students in Japan often struggle with English word order because this is very different in Japanese. It's not easy for them to think about the words in a different way.
Yes, that's true. Often students find it hard to use a concept that doesn't exist in their native language. For example, in my previous job in Germany, I noticed that students had some problems with the 2 present tenses in English because there is only one in German. But that's what I find so interesting about languages, the sheer variety. It would be so boring if they were all the same.
That's exactly what I think too. Language learning for me is such an interesting process. You really get inside a culture by learning its language. It's brilliant to be able to communicate with people in their first language and just opens the culture up to you so much more than if you didn't speak the language.
I totally agree with you there. So, are you learning Japanese?
I'm trying. It's always been my ambition to learn the language to a good conversational level. I've been learning it for 2 years now, and I think I'm starting to feel more confident with using it in everyday life. But I still make a lot of mistakes.
Well, that's part of it, isn't it? Immersing yourself in the language is key to enjoying the process, I think. I had one student, Marco, who went for a week's holiday in Ireland, and he told me that he could really see the improvement in his English after speaking to the local people. He really got into it. He tried the local food, went to a football match and made lots of new friends there. He was so happy because he gained confidence. Previously, he'd always been overly cautious whenever he used English.
That's brilliant that he could really see the benefit of travelling and spending time in an English-speaking country. It's not always possible for everyone to travel, but if they have the chance, I always encourage my students to have some time abroad if they can. It's such a valuable experience.
It really is. Do you also find that students have lots of different learning styles?
Absolutely. Some students feel they really need to understand the grammar inside out, while others are happy to just have a go at speaking. Some people prefer using translation as a technique, to think of the word in their own language and then substitute it with English, and others prefer to think in English. I think you just need to play to your strengths.
No doubt about it. So, when's the next talk? I see from the brochure...